we're just starting to scratch the surface of what this case, this case is going to touch and involve.
I would say, Oprah Winfrey, you know what you need to do, and stop hiding behind what you call was negative comments, what you call, oh, I don't even deal with things like that, because what people are beginning to do is see you for who you are.
Beginning to do is see you for who you are. Denzel Washington has come out with a bombshell of evidence against Oprah Winfrey's connection to Diddy. It's alleged that she is still helping Diddy while he is behind bars. Not long ago, Diddy was out in Miami throwing wild, celebrity-packed parties and living like royalty, bottles popping, music blasting. The whole vibe. Fast forward to now, he's sitting in one of the toughest, most infamous prisons in America. That alone would have been shocking enough, but hold up, things just got crazier. So you know whose name suddenly got tangled up with Diddy's Oprah Winfrey, the Oprah that we thought was the queen of daytime talk, a billionaire mogul and global symbol of healing, growth and inspiration, and people are freaking out with the news. Oprah is probably the last person anyone expected to be mixed up in something this dark, but here we are, and guess who's supposedly pulling back the curtain on all this madness? None other than Denzel Washington. They could make a joke about it, and I accepted it because I thought I deserved it. I accepted it. And I received it because I thought, well, they're right, and they were wrong. And they were. Now I know they were so wrong. Before we get into what he's allegedly revealing, let's take a step back, because if you're only just tuning in, you might not realize how deep and disturbing this whole situation really is. You've no doubt seen Diddy's name everywhere lately. It's been all over the news, social media, gossip, blogs, you name it. But here's the thing, this isn't your average celebrity scandal. This isn't about some cheating scandal or a meltdown on stage. What Diddy's caught up in is next level serious. We're talking human teching, extortion, D'ing people, and even more horrifying allegations involving younger individuals. And no, this isn't just internet speculation. These are real federal investigations, and the authorities are going in hard. The accusations against Diddy started when his ex Cassie filed a lawsuit in late 2023. That one case cracked everything wide open. What followed was a wave of terrifying claims. Then things escalated quickly. Law enforcement raided his homes, and not just one but multiple properties across the U.S. And what did they allegedly find? It wasn't the usual Hollywood luxury. Try gallons of baby oil, shelves packed with adult toys, and rooms supposedly set up for things too disturbing to even imagine. Straight up nightmare fuel. And then there's the footage. Investigators reportedly recovered video so disturbing that even seasoned agents were left shaken. Just when you think it can't get any crazier, Oprah Winfrey's name starts getting thrown into the mix. Oprah, the woman known for kindness, generosity, and soul-healing interviews, is now being loosely connected to one of the darkest scandals in entertainment, and the person calling attention to her is Denzel Washington. Now, Denzel isn't the type to gossip or stir drama. He's intentional with his words, so when he raises a red flag, people listen. Sources say Denzel has been quietly side-eyeing Oprah for a long time, not over petty stuff, but because how she treats people behind the scenes, especially black women in Hollywood. And this isn't just a one-time thing. It's allegedly been building for years, bubbling under the surface, and only now starting to come out. Oprah and Diddy go way back. Their friendship isn't some random Hollywood handshake. They've shared events, smiled for cameras at the BET Awards, Cannes Film Festival, the Grammys, and even elite fashion galas. Diddy even sat down on her talk show laughing it up while talking about going from the streets to CEO status from the outside. It was two icons lifting each other up. Black excellence supporting black excellence, but now those old interviews feel different. The smiles look rehearsed. The compliments sound like PR lines. The vibe is raising eyebrows, and if you're still thinking this is all just a bunch of coincidences, let's talk about Taraji P. Henson. She recently shared that she almost walked away from The Color Purple, a film Oprah helped produce. Why? Because she was being paid way less than she deserved, and she's not alone. Monique, a comedian and Oscar winner, has been shouting the same truth for years. Black women in Hollywood often don't get paid what they're worth, even when they are the face of the film, and in both cases, Oprah's name keeps coming up. Now rewind to 2008 when Monique opened up in essence about being aided by her brother. She shared that trauma with Oprah privately, including how her parents never really supported her. Oprah knew all of that because had Oprah Winfrey said, "I'm going to have your mother," I would have said, "Shut it down. I don't need the world seeing how greedy my mother is. Shut that down." But instead of respecting that pain, she went ahead and invited Monique's brother and her parents onto her show without telling her. What's really surprising is that Oprah, who's always talked about women's empowerment and standing up for yourself, once invited Monique's brother, the person who ate her, onto her show without ever giving her a heads up or apologizing afterwards. Monique later called her out for being completely insensitive to her pain, accusing Oprah of dismissing her trauma just to chase ratings and views, until that woman says, "Let me apologize to you publicly. It'll be to the day I leave this earth, because what you did was, it was intentional and it was ugly." This wasn't an isolated case either. Oprah has built a brand around emotional interviews, but some say it's more about ratings than real healing. She's been accused of pulling deeply personal stories out of guests, only to use them as entertainment, and 50 Cent, he's not buying it after Oprah publicly criticized his lyrics. 50 didn't hold back. He clapped back, accusing her of pandering to white audiences while turning her back on the very community she came from. He even went so far as to call her an Oreo, black on the outside, white on the inside, because to him, Oprah's passion for black issues fades as soon as white America tunes in, and he's not the only one who's noticed this pattern. Ice Cube says Oprah shut him out too. Despite his long history in music, film and politics, he couldn't get a seat at her table, not even to discuss major projects like Barber Hop or Black White. His take: it wasn't about content, it was about control. He didn't fit Oprah's curated image, so he got sidelined. Chris Brown has also called her out after donating to her school in Africa. He felt abandoned when she publicly stood by Rihanna during their legal battle, but completely distanced herself from him. He wasn't asking for forgiveness, just some fairness, or at least compassion. Then there's the James Fry situation. Oprah turned his memoir into a bestseller, but when it came out that he'd exaggerated parts, she dragged him back onto her show and publicly confronted him. Some say she was being fair, others saw it as public shaming for drama's sake. Same thing with Ludacris. In 2005 he joined Oprah's show to promote Crash instead of highlighting the movie. Oprah went in on his lyrics. Ludacris later revealed his defense got completely cut from the broadcast, making it look like he just sat there silently. It wasn't just disappointing, it was humiliating, and it fit a pattern. Oprah using her platform to scold black men in the name of accountability, while the ratings rolled in. Zoom out a little and it all starts to feel more calculated. Oprah's inner circle includes names like Diddy, Harvey Weinstein, and Tyler Perry. 3 men who've all been surrounded by controversy, and when people say birds of a feather, you kind of start connecting the dots, but it doesn't stop there. Many insiders describe Oprah as a Hollywood gatekeeper, someone who decides who gets spotlighted, who gets shut out, and what stories get told. They say she plays puppet master behind the scenes, pushing certain narratives while muting others. And then there's the whole Maui wildfire situation. While everyday families lost everything, Oprah's massive estate remained untouched, not once but twice. The same thing happened in Montecito in 2017. Both times her home stood tall, while others burned. What made it worse? Instead of cutting a check to help, she launched a donation drive. One of the richest women on earth is asking regular folks to pitch in. The internet wasn't impressed, and now with lawsuits mounting against Diddy, Oprah's connection to him is looking even more suspicious. Rumors are flying about her helping him out behind the scenes, offering protection, sharing resources, even helping him stay relevant. Former Diddy bodyguard Gene Deal added fuel to the fire when he said, "This 'cause you know he was running with Oprah and them, he was running with that whole crew. Weinstein, Oprah, Epstein, he was running with that whole crew. If that doesn't make you pause, it should. These aren't just party acquaintances, these are longtime allies in the industry." And it gets darker. Oprah and Harvey Weinstein weren't just colleagues, they were close. Photos of them hugging, smiling, working together behind the scenes. It all happened while Weinstein's predatory behavior was the worst kept secret in Hollywood. When survivors came forward, Oprah didn't condemn him outright. Instead, she delivered a vague speech about broader issues. It was strategic, and it was quiet, and maybe that's the real story here. What's being said out loud and what's being left unsaid. Things really started getting crazy when Harvey Weinstein made a jaw-dropping claim that Oprah Winfrey actually called him to show support after the allegations against him hit the fan, now coming from someone desperate to hold on to a shred of credibility. That kind of claim packs a punch, but it didn't take long for Oprah's camp to jump into full-on PR cleanup mode. They denied the conversation ever happened, saying she was simply trying to land an interview with him for a 60-minute segment. Still, the damage was done. Weinstein wouldn't stop name-dropping Oprah, as if trying to remind the world just how close they used to be. But wait, we're not done yet. There's another moment that really calls Oprah's loyalty into question. Let's rewind to 1993. Michael Jackson, one of the most secretive and heavily scrutinized celebrities ever, did something he rarely did. He opened up. He invited Oprah Winfrey into his personal sanctuary, the Neverland Ranch, for an emotional, globally broadcast interview. It was massive for Michael. It was a rare moment of vulnerability for Oprah. It was a career milestone. That exclusive interview helped skyrocket her reputation and solidify her status as the go-to interviewer for the stars. You were up every day. For years afterward, Oprah proudly referred to Michael as a friend. She wore that interview like a badge of honor. But after his death, everything changed. Oprah did a complete about-face and aligned herself with the Leaving Neverland documentary, the one that reignited allegations through the testimonies of Wade Robson and James Safechuck, the very two men who had earlier sworn under oath that MJ never heard them talk about being real friends again. But Oprah didn't stop at just airing the documentary. She doubled down. She hosted an entire special giving Wade and James a massive platform and essentially distancing herself from the man who once trusted her with his most private truth. Fans were stunned. Oprah giving a full spotlight to Michael's accusers after years of friendship felt like a betrayal. People began to question her true motives. Was this really about seeking justice, or was this just another ratings grabbing media move? Oprah defended herself, saying her goal was to spotlight in the industry, but many weren't buying it. If she was really that passionate about calling out predators, why not bring that same energy towards Harvey Weinstein? But the plot thickens. Remember John of God, the so-called healer from Brazil that Oprah once spotlighted? She didn't just talk about him, she flew to Brazil, met him in person, and featured him in her media empire, presenting him as some divine miracle worker. Fast forward and the truth came out. This man was no healer, he was a full-blown monster accused of teeing women and running a horrific ring. The details of that tearing are reportedly so disturbing they're almost impossible to describe to the average person, and yet Oprah actually met this man and featured him on her show. Just think about how emotionally detached someone would have to be to associate with a person like that. It's beyond horrifying. However, later Oprah practically vanished, deleted every trace of her association with him. No apology, no public statement, no attempt to acknowledge what happened, just silence. People were rightfully disturbed. How can someone with so much influence just vanish from accountability like that? And this wasn't a one-off incident. Even her all-girls school in South Africa, once hailed as a triumph of education and empowerment, faced scandal when a staff member was arrested for misconduct with students. Again, Oprah offered minimal transparency, barely addressing the incident publicly. Then came Seal, the Grammy-winning singer who lit social media on fire with a viral Instagram post. He basically hinted that Oprah had known about Weinstein's crimes all along and chose to stay silent. His post